something as simple as sending out your resume could get you in trouble.
Michael, I hear you have a story about a new campaign on phishing that's going on.
That's correct. There's been a lot of coverage, a lot of news coverage, and this past weekend there was a tweet from someone inside of the Department of Homeland Security, I think, that generated a lot of the coverage of this particular threat. Nation-state actor, and then a specific like APT group, Advanced Persistent Threat Group, APT 33, which also has is also known as Refined Kitten, as opposed to some of the other kittens which we've heard before, like Charming Kitten, Rocket Kitten, Domestic Kitten, and Copy Kittens. So the information that's out there does have quite a bit of detail, which I'll go over with you and like to hear your reaction to. Kind of following up to some 2018 advice from DHS, which really identified what they called password spraying, where you keep trying the same password, I guess, with a lot of different logins until it works. That is still being quoted as, one of the methods, but also spear phishing, which you said, John. So in this case, it looks like the attackers were going after some high-value targets who are either in the government or interested in working for the government, and that was offering them to send their information, their CV, to this domain, and they would be considered for this new job as an assistant director, working on important stuff in Washington, D.C. So that was the lure to get them to send their information to this site. And evidently, if you do what it tells you to do in the phishing message, there's a power ton remote access Trojan. I guess it's kind of a standard, does a lot of different stuff, custom built, PowerShell, with some persistence, that would get installed if the user falls for it and applies for this assistant director job. The other things that were cited with the tweet, especially over the weekend, was that there could be data wiping. And I think that's what really caused all these security companies to start talking about it even more. And I think this was meant to just get the word out there to people, hey, be aware, be warned, something bad could happen to you. Got kind of more points on the alarm scale than most of the stuff I've seen so far this year.
I think it sounds very familiar, some of the things here, which makes me think, for criminals, we do a lot of botnet tracking, which usually these botnets are operated by cybercrime groups, and sometimes these adversaries get arrested. But these nation-state groups, they kind of stick around and they just kind of tune their parameters or their malware, and they keep coming back. It's interesting to see that some of the tactics, though, are very similar. The techniques for the adversaries don't change much. It's going to be phishing or social engineering to get into the front door, and maybe with the help of some kind of exploits. This one, it sounds like it would be interesting to specific types of people, and it's very targeted for that group of people. Oh wow, I'm being.
I thought, so we're talking basically what they call whaling, right? You're hitting high visibility, large company people who are eligible for those that counsel to begin with. So you have to think that those are people that, are hopefully are knowledgeable about this type of an attack. But if you've even got one success, you're probably, feeling pretty lucky.
Yes. And I know for these APT groups, let's say they don't successfully exploit your machine for one reason or another. Maybe you had AV on there and you went through all the steps. If you even submitted your CV, you're now on a special list of people who they might target again in the future with new domains. So with new infrastructure or new campaigns, and that's probably the more dangerous thing for you, is being on that list of people who are going to be targeted in the future, especially if you weren't expecting it, because I'm guessing some of these campaigns are probably against, not the big VIPs, but somebody a middle VIP, a person on their way to becoming a VIP, right? Somebody who wants to be maybe a politician or apply for a directorship position or something like that. Maybe one day they will be a VIP, and then if you've gotten your presence on their PC now, maybe you can have a bigger impact. And I'm guessing that's kind of how these APT groups operate.
Probably a lot of these, important VIPs have executive assistants as well that are doing a lot of their email filtering. And so, if you infect them, the executive assistant, you may have gotten yourself even a bigger piece of that, kingdom.
Yes.
To be able to ransack.
Yeah, the other thing that's interesting to me is that with a social engineering campaign like this, you're inviting your target to send you their CV. And if all they do is just send you their CV, you've already been successful, even if you don't get malware on their system. And if they're willing to send you their CV, they're probably going to click on whatever you tell them to click them on too, and they probably are going to get on your system. So,
Yes.
Definitely important to be cautious about requests like this from a source that you don't expect it from.
Yes.
Don't be lured into sharing your resume, your CV. And then from a data perspective, back everything up and be ready to restore if you have to.